our next speaker has 4 things in common with Shakespeare. His first name, his ponytail, long hair, his mustache, and maybe his poetic vocabulary. Let's see. No pressure. Come on out, dude.
So,
all right. Actually, I'm going to do this.
So it's actually funny because my sister's actually a poet, like straight up. She's actually in grad school right now.
That counts.
Poetry, so
it's in the family.
It's in my blood. This is, let's see. Okay, here we go. We start here actually. Okay. Node.js a spooky way. How do I start this? Aha. So I mean, most of us, we're all engineers, right? And we really want to build this. We want to build something just big and beautiful and grand and multi-purpose and elegant and just really like a pinnacle of engineering. That's what we all want to accomplish. Except if you're working in Node.js, please don't do this. This is not how Node.js wants to be written. It's not how it actually wants you to design systems. Because this gets bloated, hard to maintain, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But really, I mean, it's spooky is what the deal is. You know, it's like it's one of the classic horror tales, something that's good intentioned, it eventually turns gruesome. And this is what it becomes. It becomes Dracula's castle. Our big, beautiful castle becomes, flips upside down. And we all become Nosferatu. We're like the weird crypt, like snarled, keepers of the dungeon, and we hiss at people and they ask us to change things. Because really we're afraid that if we change the dungeon, the tower's gonna fall off or something. So this is what, a common pitfall I see with Node.js engineering. Now, Node.js has grown tremendously in the past few years. It's really actually like slowly taking over the world, as most of us know. And there's a lot of new people in the language. And with that, there's kind of all kinds of paradigms coming in. There's object-oriented design programs coming in. There's people who have worked with Python coming in. And that's all great. But I see a lot of times that the beauty and elegance of Node.js is not really being taken advantage of as fully as it should be. I see all the time, like huge classes, large classes. I see session-based authentication. I see in-memory storage, things all the time being confined just to the memory of a specific server cluster. And I see just like huge amounts of mutation, for example, like crazy mutating classes and hoping that when the user client requests it, it's going to be in memory the same way it was, 10 seconds ago, which kind of misses fundamentally the paradigm of Node.js. And believe it or not, actually, there's whole GitHub repos dedicated to hating on Node.js classes. Because when it first came into language, people were like, no, this is like not what JavaScript's about. There's no classes in JavaScript. They, through some, give and take, they put them in anyway. But should recognize, actually, believe it or not, that using classes at all in JavaScript is controversial, and some people say you shouldn't do it at all. So I'm going to give now Node.js actually wants this. It wants a nice, clean suburb. Oh, by the way, these are actually not houses. These are all Airbnbs. And that you only want to stay in these for maybe a couple hours and then get out of there. You don't want anyone actually living here. That's considered squatting. And we're like Edward Scissorhand. We're coming down from the spooky castle, if you ever seen the movie, and we're kind of exploring this nice suburb and learning to love it and letting it grow on us. Because no matter what your opinions of the suburbs are, we all live in New York here. But there is sort of like a brutal efficiency about this way of living. There's reasons why suburbs have kind of grown so tremendously in America, because they are brutally efficient and they're cheap to maintain. So what does this look like in a live production app? And I want to give a trigger warning here because the code you're about to see might get kind of ugly and might be somewhat disturbing. So be prepared to get spooked. So by the way, this is live production code out there right now. So here we have, looks like some sort of initialization function. We have a constructor and something that is doing inheritance. I don't know what. We have a class creator. We have another class creator. We have encoding managers. We have something that sets custom text props. We have various utility functions in here. We have an error code parser. We also have, I think, Ajax in here. I'm not sure if this is actual the Ajax, so I'm copying and pasting it and put it there, or what's going on there. Something's going on there. I don't know what. It's like an external module. We have, an upload middleware. We have form data appenders, downloaders. We have some prefixer. Oh, by the way, that's all one file, and it's 1,243 lines of code long. And this is out there in the world, and people are using it, and that's spooky to me. Very spooky. Now, what does this look like in a live production app? And this is going to be a very quick talk, but I just want to visually see what the difference is. This is our router. This app actually has several routers, but this is one particular router for players. That's the entire thing. This is our authentication middleware. The entire thing. And I actually want to pause here and talk a second about what's going on here and why this is really so great. So I've seen actually pull requests out there in the wild, people saying, why do you have this one unique middleware? Put this middleware in our big main middleware function that's 600 lines long. And you notice here, this is actually kind of rejecting that principle. This is very atomic. You'll notice that this is also a pure function. It's taking in stuff and it's putting something out and it's doing nothing in between. It's taking a request, a response, and this next function, and it's returning next. It's not doing anything weird. It's not attaching any sort of state to it. It's not doing anything in memory. It's just taking something in and then spitting it back out again. And that's kind of true, like pure Node middleware shall all do that. Let's see. And it emphasizes single responsibility, which is really important. And because if you don't do this, it's going to create bugs, it's going to create brittleness, and when new engineers come in and they're trying to parse this 700-line middleware function, they're not going to know where to find things. They're going to introduce some weird if statement that's going to cause a bug down the line. With this, it's pure, it's simple, it's easy, and it's easy to follow. So here we have a set of controllers for our player concept. You'll see they're extremely simple. They are kind of importing some utility functions from above that they're using to hash and secure passwords. But you'll see this is very simple. And in fact, I've worked on Node production databases, production code bases, where maybe 70% of the files were under 100 lines of code. And that's and for a really well-written Node app, that's very common. And this is our model. Again, very simple. So we have a controller, a model, and some middleware, and our router. And what's really nice about this is when you really kind of break things up into very tiny modules and that only take that have an input and an output and nothing going on in between, they're extremely easy to reason about. So they're extremely easy to break apart, extremely easy to think about and to find bugs, and it's extremely easy to refactor it. Let's say if we have our team's growing and suddenly we want to share a common models package across multiple repos and multiple teams. Very common scenario because you want to keep your models consistent. Easy. All you do is take your models code, throw it up in an npm repo, hopefully private, and you change this line of code. So instead of importing it from our local file path, now we're importing it from npm. And that's it. Your refactor is done. Nothing else. So as you can see, if you follow this kind of very modular pattern, it becomes extremely easy. It becomes really a dream to work with. It's a super easy to think about, super easy to add extensible functionality. But also, it also saves a ton of money, which is nice for business, because we're developers. We like things to be easy. We like our lives to be as easy as possible, and we like to be clever about making our lives easy. But at the end of the day, someone says, "Why should we work in Node.js?" Not because it's the hot thing, not because it's the sexy thing right now, because it's easy, but it also saves money for the client. It's very easy to dynamically scale because when you have no state, what happens is that allows you to horizontally scale really easy. I don't have the time to go into this too in depth. I'd love to sometime, but also these dollar signs that they're talking. These are the same amount of random access memory. This one is sort of a large Amazon EC2 instance, and this is the same 8 small instances. This is $34. This is $145 per month, with roughly comparable power specs. Same amount of random access memory. And that's what I meant by it's an Airbnb, not home. Is that if you designed it so it's stateless and that nothing actually lives in memory, so no session-based authentication, no session affinity, nothing like that, it becomes extremely easy to scale. You just put a load balancer in front, and you're good to go. And that's pretty much all I have. A very quick talk. But when you're writing Node.js, think about single responsibilities, pure functions, modularity. You do this, your life will be so easy, and you can just kick back and really just code with a cup of coffee and no bugs, hopefully.
Nice.